Okay, today we are going to do the assembly of that quarter joint. First, initially we have to go to this assembly section. Then after that we have to select this assembly. Once we select this assembly, it will be going to assembly format. Then after that we have to select what is that? All the part drawings. So here in the part drawings, I'll be selecting the folder in which the parts are created. So I'll be selecting this uh, the folder which is consisting this all the part drawings. So in that I'm going to this quarter joint folder. So here I have all the parts, like first one is sleeve, then after that rod end, then after that the quarter. Okay, so first I'll be bringing the sleeve part over here. I'll be clicking on this second, and after that I'll be clicking on this sleeve part. So once I bring it here, before that I need to make it isometric. So first, initially, before calling that quarter, it should be made, isometric environment. So this will be having all three things will be having same angle. So it will be having 120 degree, and this also will be having 120 degree given. The right profile plane and the vertical plane also will be having 120 degree. So here I'll be selecting this sleeve. Then once it is selected, the part will be brought over here. If you want to change the orientation here, you can change the orientation like this. Okay, and after that you can bring it, but here in this diagram it is not required. It can be kept in isometric mode only. So I have already called it isometric mode. If you want to change the orientation at that time, you can do it, you can change it. Then I'll be selecting this rod end. This has to be brought over here. Before that, once again I have to change this into isometric view. Okay, so entire thing should be in isometric view only. Now I'll be calling upon this rod end. Okay, once this rod end is called, this has to be mated with this sleeve. So for that, we'll be selecting this cylinder, and I'll be selecting the inside cylinder over here. Now they are aligned, but it is not perfectly aligned. So to make it perfectly aligned, we have to select this face in the rod end should be aligned with this face 2 in the sleeve. So this will be aligned with that sleeve. Now this entire section, this cylinder, what is that? The arc which is there in the rod end, that has to be selected with this cylinder 2 in the sleeve part. Go to this assemble, then after that I'll be selecting made portion, this one. So it is rotated and it's But then after that, this has to be brought into the top view portion. And after this, here I'm going to select this part, meeting with this part. Okay. So here I'll be bringing it. I'll be calling this. Then after this will be once again assembled over here. Then after this, just have to check whether the tapered portion, whether it is in this side or in the another end. So here the tapered side is over here. So this can be mated with this particular section. So for that purpose, I'll be selecting, uh, I'll be going with this flash fit option. Okay, go with the flash fit option. Select this, and go with the flash fit command. Okay, and this portion cylinder, which is half cylinder of this rod end, should be selected with this half cylinder of this sleeve too. So here it is mated perfectly. And after this, we have to go to front view, and I'll be selecting this visible and hidden edges. We'll just check whether it is perfectly aligned or not. Okay. And if it is not aligned, see here, if it is not aligned, at that time, this face in the rod end has to be mated with this face in this rod end. Okay, rod end should be mated with this face in the sleeve. But at that time, this will show that it is not fully positioned, it is under constraint. Here, as we have selected this half cylinder, which is a straight half cylinder, as we have selected this directly comes over here. The rod end is directly positioned here and it is fully positioned. So no need to change any direction. Otherwise, if something happens, like if it is under constraint, at that time only we have to go for the flip option, or we have to go with the another rotate option. Otherwise, no need to change it. Now I'll be calling once again this rod end, because see here, this portion is placed with the rod end and this portion also should be placed with the rod end. So for that particular thing, I'll be selecting another rod end. Before that, I have to make it isometric. So this has to be once again made isometric. Then I'll be calling once again a rod end. Okay, I'll be calling rod end. So here I'll be changing the orientation because I want it in this direction. So I'll be making it in this direction. Okay, I'm clicking middle button of that mouse. Then after that, I'm rotating in whichever way I want it. I can rotate it. So I'll be rotating it in this direction. Now I'll be calling this rod end. Okay, and it is slightly little disoriented from the original position. Okay, it is somewhere something else. Now what I'm going to do, I'll be selecting this assemble portion and I'll be selecting this cylinder in the the outer cylinder of this rod end with the inner cylinder of this sleeve. Okay, and I'll be using move part option, and I'll be clicking on this OK active parts only, which I have already selected. Then after that, I'll be selecting linear direction. Okay, linear direction, and I'll be selecting this part, and I'll be selecting X direction. In this X direction, I'll be rotating it. Okay, sorry, I'll be moving it. I'll show it in shaded with visible edges. Now this has to be rotated in such a way that this cylinder portion has to be mated with this cylinder portion. Okay, but I doubt it may not be perfectly aligned. So for that, you have to see whether it is perfectly aligned or not. Okay, whether it is perfectly aligned or not. So I'll be going here in the top view. Okay, it is perfectly aligned. I'll be going to the front view in shaded visible. See here in visible and hidden edges. So here also it is perfectly aligned because I have selected this line, this portion, and also I have selected this portion. Both are perfectly linked. And even if we go in top view also, at that time also it is perfectly linked over here. Now once two rod ends they are fitted into this sleeve, then once again this has to be made into isometric mode. Then the third part will be chord. This cotter will be chord. Okay, so I'll be bringing this cotter in this assembly environment. Okay, after that, this cylinder 3 or half cylinder cotter, which is almost like what we say, see here, top here, I'll show it. See here, one is tapered part, another one is straight thing, because you can see it over here. You can see it over here. This one you can see it here. Okay, if there is a section, that it means that it's a quartered, or what is a tapered quarter. If I go to this front view, see here, this is having some tapered position, and this is straight cut cylinder. Here also we are having straight cut cylinder, and we are having tapered cut cylinder, and here also tapered cut cylinder and straight cut cylinder. Now the straight cut cylinder should be mated with straight half cylinder, and tapered half cylinder should be mated with tapered half cylinder. Same thing applies in another section also. So for that, what I'm going to do, I'll be selecting this in once again isometric mode. Okay, and after this I'll be selecting this cylinder, half cylinder, which is straight in this quarter joint. I'll be selecting that. Then after that I'll be selecting cylinder 2 in this sleeve part. Now it is joined, but not perfectly joined. Now here I have to go to this what is that, front view. It's placed perfectly but not exactly. So to make it perfect, I have to go to this move part, and I have to select this quarter. Then after that, in Z direction, in front view, in Z direction, I have to move it upside. Like this, I have to move it. I'll be keeping it over here. You can see it in the specification tree. See here, sleeve is fully positioned, and after that rod end is fully positioned, and even rod and another rod end, this rod end also, it is fully positioned, but quarter will be always under constraint. one end will be fixed over here, but you cannot fix it perfectly because it has to be removed and it has to be kept over here. So for that purpose it will be under constraint. Okay, then after that once again I'll be making it isometric. Then again I'm going to this assembly pathfinder to check whether it is perfectly aligned or not. And if I want to bring some material over here, then I'll be going to this parts library. So once I select this parts library, then this has to be rotated now like this. I'll be rotating it because I want this. This portion over here, the straight cut part, I want it in this direction. So for the purpose, I'm making it in this way. Then I'm bringing this Cotter. So it is a little bit disoriented from the original angle. Now I'll be selecting here this straight cut cylinder or straight half cylinder in the quarter 3. After that I'll be selecting straight half cut cylinder in the 3 part. Now it is aligned but not perfectly aligned. Now I'll be selecting this face in the 3/4 part with this face in the steel. I hope all of you saw what happened earlier. It was oriented in this way. Now I'm selecting the assembly and here I'm selecting flash fit. Then after that I will be selecting this and I'll be selecting fixed with this steel. Now it is fixed but not fully positioned. Now I will be selecting move part once again and I will be going to clicking on OK. Then in this way I will be selecting in not in top view, I will be showing it in isometric view only, and also I'll be making, I'll be moving it in Z direction. Okay, like this I'll be moving it in Z direction. So you can go for fit option, and after that I'll be going to this isometric section once again. Then I'll show it in top view, and I'll show it in front view. You can see it in front view and top view. Okay. Now these two quarters will be under constraint. You can see this will be under constraint. This also will be under constraint. But one thing is that in one section, the tapered portion will be on its right side, and another section, the tapered portion will be on its left side. So here it will be on right side, here it will be on left side. So that you should see both the things won't be inclined in perfectly on that way only, and always at the outermost part the straight half cylinder will be kept. Okay, the straight half cylinder will be always, it is facing outward direction. Here also it will be facing outward direction. Then this is about assembly. Then after this has to be converted into as a what is that 2D diagram. I hope all of you understood this. If anybody is having any doubt regarding anything, you can ask me. You can unmute yourself and you can ask the doubt. You can unmute yourself and you can ask the doubt. If anybody is having any doubt regarding this, you can ask me the doubt, okay? How to place this and all, what are things. If you want to ask me, you can ask me. Otherwise, I'll be moving on to next section. Okay. After this, this has to be converted into 2D diagram. So for that, this has to be first initially saved. So here I'm going to go to this save as option, and after that here you can select assembly one option, but preferably keep it in the folder only. So in the quarter joint only you have to write it as quarter joint assembly. So I'll be writing quarter joint assembly, which is having .asm. So I'll be not writing assembly, it will be just writing quarter joint then .asm. Okay, then once it is done, then I'll be clicking on this save option. Now the assembly diagram is saved. Now this assembly diagram has to be converted into what is that, 2D diagram. But before that, this all these inside parts has to be visible. So to make them visible, you have to make a cut section. Okay, you have to make the cut section. So to make cut section, I'll be going to this PMI section. So I'll be selecting this PMI section. Okay, then I'll be selecting this top or horizontal plane. Then here I'll be selecting this midpoint, and from here I'll be creating one. I'll be creating one rectangle. So here either you can cut it on this side below or above. So it's totally depend upon you. I'll be creating two section over here. Okay, one section is for rod end and another section is for quarter. So usually the 1/4 cut will be done. So to show it, either you can select this or you can cut it in both the section. I'll be going with this symmetric extent. So I'll be cutting the entire thing, half section I'll be doing it. Okay, till the entire point I'll be selecting, and it will ask whether I should cut all the parts or I have to cut only selected parts. So then I'll be selecting only cut only selected part. Okay, I'll be selecting this sleeve over there, and I'll be clicking on this preview to check whether my cut section is perfectly done or not. See here, this rod end is shown here. Okay, this rod end is shown, and this sleeve is cut with the half section. Now I will be clicking on this finish option. Okay, so 1/4 of the portion is cut with this cut section. Now this is one cut section, and even this rod end also I want to cut it because I want to show this quarter also. So for that, once again I'll be going to this PMI, and I'll be going to once again section. So PMI section I'll be going, and after that I'll be selecting once again this what is that, top plane. So once I select this top plane, I'll be clicking on this rectangle option. Once again I'm going to click rectangle just because I want to create a rectangular section, and I'll be clicking over here, like from this point, somewhat this point to this particular section, and I'll be cutting it over here like this. I'll be cutting because I want to cut this rod end, so I'll be bringing it till this particular point. Then I'll be clicking on this return option. Now you can cut it entire section, or you can clear cut it only half section, the quarter section, but I'll be preferring half section. So I'll be selecting this, and I'll be going with once again symmetric extent, and I'll be cutting it over here. I should have selected only selected parts. So I'll be selecting this, cut only selected parts option, and after that we'll be going with this preview option, and I'll be clicking on this finish, but I haven't selected any part. So here select parts, cut only selected parts. I'll be selecting this rod end. Okay, this rod end. I'll be going to this preview option. It will show this is cut over here. Now I'll be clicking on this finish option. Now this also cut. Now if you see it in front view, it will be looking like this. See here the quarter will be visible, and also half section rod end will be visible, and half section sleeve will be visible. If you see it from the top view, see here the sleeve will be visible, half section of this will be visible. Now what you should do, this has to be saved once again in isometric orientation. This has to be saved because already we have saved it as what is that assembly, and if I click on the save button, the same thing will be updated. I don't want it because if I want to change some assembly diagrams and something, then at that time this sectioning will be changed. So for that I'll be selecting this as save as, and after that instead of quarter joint dot esm, this will be section quarter joint with section. I'll be saving it. Then after that I'll be saving this. Okay. Then now this has to be created 2D diagram. So for that just have to go to file. Then after that you have to select this create a drawing. Once you select this, it will ask whether you want it in normal DFT, which is drafting the file. So click on this drafting file. Click on this OK. It will ask, okay, whether you want to derive display reference, or whether you want to show assembly features, show key, center lines, all those things it will be asking. So here, show hidden edges in orthographic views should be selected, and show edges in the hidden parts in the orthographic views should be selected, and tangent edges should be showed in pictorial view. So you'll be selecting, there will be 4 pictorial views, and there will be 1, 2, 3, 5 orthographic views. So here I'm going to select that. Then after that, here I'll be selecting front view as my reference view, or else you can go with this custom option also. You can select this, you can change the orientation, that I'll teach you later. Okay, because if I change this orientation, then it will be looking a little bit odd. I'll be selecting front view. Then after that, once selected, I'll be selecting all these layouts for the first diagram. Okay, for the first diagram I'll be selecting all these things. All the diagrams will be selected: the rear view, top view, front view, the right side view, and the left side view. Then isometric view or pictorial views in all orientation, like top right orientation, bottom right orientation, top left and bottom left. Okay, sorry, top left and bottom left. Then I'll be clicking on this portion, and I'll be creating it in this perfectly over here. Here, which diagram you want, that you can keep it. Whichever diagram you want, you can keep them. See here, in which diagram you can see perfectly the cut section, that you can keep it. I want this one, and I want this diagram, and also I'll be keeping this diagram. Other diagrams I want to delete them. I'll be selecting all these diagrams. I'll be deleting them. I want this, this, and this right side view. So I'll be deleting all other diagrams. Now the sectioning should be done in this way. So what I'm going to do, I'll be going with this fit option once again. And as it is A2 sheet, I have to convert this into A4 sheet. So go to sheet setup and change it into A4 sheet. Then click on this show background, so that it has to be deselected. Then after that, you have to click on this save defaults. Then click on this OK option. Okay. Now this diagram has to be brought into this A4 sheet. Then go for this fit option also. Okay. Now I'll be selecting all these diagrams and I'll be making it. Okay, this can be changed into 600 LSS. Then this also will be changed into 600. And I'll be keeping this over here. As it is circular in section, you just need this right side view and this front view. Top view is not required, but some of the time top view will be required. Okay, at that time you have to keep it. For this diagram, I'm going to keep this top view, but it is not required when it is circular in section. I'm just showing it. Okay, I'm just showing it. For some diagrams, when it is a little bit complicated and most of the features are visible only in top view, at that time you have to select this top view. Otherwise, it is not required. Here, all the features are visible in its side view and its front view. So you just have to keep these two things. But for today's assembly point of view, how to keep this, that's why I have to show them, I'll be taking this top view. Otherwise, it is not required. Now, it has to be updated. See here, all this Cotter is shown and even this a sleeve is shown and even rod end is shown. This has to be updated. I'll be selecting this and I have to go to this update view option. Before that, I have to go to this property. Then after that, I have to change the section. So I'll be selecting this section 1 and section 2. We have done two sectioning, right? One section is for sleeve and another section is for quarter. So I'll be selecting this section 1, section 2. Then after that, you can check auto balloon on. Next update should be selected. Okay, this has to be selected. You can select ANSI or ISO. Then after that, display if you want hidden lines or hidden edge. If you don't want it, you can remove them. Okay, but preferably I'll be keeping it because I want it, so I'll be keeping them. If you want to remove them, you can remove them. Tangent hidden, you can remove them. Then text color also it will be showing whether dimension style should be ISO or what. If you want to change it, ANSYS or NC or ISO or even font, if you want to change it to Times New Roman, you can change them. Anything you can change them. Here you can change the colors and all the things. You can change it. I'll be clicking on this black. You can create dark cyan only. You can keep it on dark cyan only. It is defaultly selected and even ISO. What is that? Solid edge ISO also. It's also okay, no problem. You can select this solid edge ISO only. But as it is looking good, so I'll be going with this Times New Roman or Arial. I'll be selecting Arial. It is for me. You can keep anything you can keep it. Okay. So here annotation, all the things should be selected. In model option, like if you want to select this use simplified parts, you can select it, or you can go for this use simplified assemblies. You can go for this. Okay, for sub assemblies, all these things you can select them. Then here, if you want to show shading, then you can go for this. Otherwise, don't go for this shading option. Then here in advanced, whether you want to show this B spline edges or part intersection, all these things, if you want to show them, then you can click on these things. Okay, you can change it. B spline edges, you can select B spline edges are nothing but it's a curvature edge. Okay, so here I'll be selecting this, then after that I'll be clicking on this. Okay, now it will be showing that drawing view is out of date because we have done some changes in this drawing. Now it has to be changed. So for that, I'll be selecting this and I'll be changing to the update view. See, you can see that it is changed into 1, then after that 2, then after that 3. Okay. Now I want to bring the parts list of this particular view. Here, if you don't want this hidden edges, see here, if you don't want the hidden edges, you can once again change it by going with this update view. Okay, you can go to this properties, and after that, see here, this hidden edge can be removed. See here, it can be removed. If you want to keep it, you can keep it. If you want to remove it, you can remove it. Preferably, today I will be showing it. Okay, today I will be showing it. But when you are making it at the time, don't show it. And here also, in the model option also, instead of using the simplified parts, you can remove it, and you can go for this use simplified assemblies. You can click, you have to click always on this configuration, or for all sub assemblies also okay. So I'll be clicking once again, and after that, see, I'll be going with this update view. You can select this and you can change it. Now once this is done, here hidden edges also it is shown. You can show it or you can remove it. Then once it is done, you can go with this part list creation, and I'll be clicking on this front view, and I'll be clicking on this creation of the part list. See here, it will be showing what are the item number and what are the quantity of those item numbers. So initially this is one, which is sleeve, and second one is rod end, and third one is quarter. And how many sleeve parts are there? One sleeve part is there. How many quarters are there? Two quarters are there. How many rod ends are there? Two rod ends are there. And how many quarters are there? Two quarters are there. This can be selected and you can keep it over here. Over here you can keep it like this. This can be selected. And be placing it over here. I will do one thing, I will be placing it over here. And after this, sleeve will be selected and it will be kept over here. And like this, after keeping it. So all the diagrams, all this numbering also should be kept inside this sheet only, because we will be taking the printout over here. And sometimes this, the outer edges, they may be missed or not they may not come in printout. So for that purpose, you have to make it perfectly aligned. Okay, all these things should be perfectly aligned. Then see here, I have created this ISO, what's that, parts list. Some of you might have remembering this. We have what is that, assign the material. If you don't assign the material over here, and even if you don't specify the title in that summary, at that time this sleeve and rod end and quarter, they won't come in this particular section. At that time you have to write it, and it is not correct method. Okay, when you use this text button and if you write it, then it is not correct method. So for that purpose, all these things should be coming in that way, because you have to mention the material while you are creating the part, and when you have to mention the title while you are creating the parts in the part modeling portion. Now the part list is created, but all the thing is here it's in solid edge ISO font. So I want to change that solid edge ISO font into Times New Roman, and also this document number I don't want it. Document number, when you are bringing it at that uh, when you have created several parts, at that time you want to bring that documents, like in the most of the companies, what they do, they'll be keeping it in different documents. At that time, if they want to specify or if they want to look out what are the definition and what are the geometry and what are the profile of those parts. At the time they can directly visit on this document number. So for that purpose document number is given over here, but in this syllabus you have created only three parts, so for that purpose it is not at all required. So you can change it by clicking on right click on the mouse and after that click on this property, and here the font should be changed to Times New Roman. Then this size and placement, it is remaining same. Then columns, here document should be selected and it should be removed. Only item number, title and material and quantity should be kept in this bill of material. Then after that component types, sorting and list of control, balloon, all these things if you want to change it, and if you want to change the dimension and all the things, you can click on that. Otherwise it is not required. See here, now it is changed over here. I'll be keeping it over here, and after that this table size also you can change it by changing the column size. You can change it like this, has to be kept. But here this diagram is not required. Okay, this diagram is not required, only this for front view and the top view, and this has to be kept over here. This diagram has to be kept over in this section. Now I'll be saving it, and this will be saved as quarter joint to the section dot dft in the quarter joint folder only. So click on this save. Like this it will be saved, and the part diagram will be created, and after that assembled. And once you do this assembly and if you create this drawing with all this section, then only your diagram is perfect. Okay, so if anybody is having any doubt regarding anything, you can ask me. Otherwise you can put your attendance in the chat box, and if any doubt is there, you can ask now only. I will be giving you access to unmute yourself. You can ask the doubt. Okay. If anybody is having any doubt regarding anything, you can ask me. Now this diagram has to be practiced by you. Okay, whether I've shown it or not. Okay, sorry. See here, I'll share it. These two diagrams has to be practiced by you guys. I'll share it and I'll send it to you. This you should practice it in your home in a A4 sheet. Then practice it well and draw this diagrams. Okay, draw these diagrams and practice it. The half section view, side sectional view, and also the front sectional view.